I tested my pregnant wife, and the results broke everything. He thought the baby was his. The lab said otherwise. Here's the whole messy truth. Not my kid. I found out that my pregnant wife is cheating on me, and she's pregnant by her lover, her best friend told me. I'm Ethan, 31. My wife is Madison, 29, who everyone calls Maddie because it sounds cuter on Instagram. We've been married 3 years, together 5. On paper, we're the Pinterest couple. Starter home in a cul-de-sac, a lemon tree that refuses to die, and a chalkboard in the kitchen where she writes tweet quotes like, "Good vibes only," even when our vibe is passive-aggressive silence and a cracked phone screen. The first weird thing was small. Maddie started sleeping with a camisole on even in July. She said pregnancy made her ugly sensitive, but when she pulled the blanket up to her collarbone I noticed a faint blushy mark near her shoulder. Could have been nothing, but it glowed in my skull like a hazard light. Then it was the late-night showers and the new rule that her phone lived face down. I told myself hormones explained everything. I downloaded a pregnancy app to be a better husband. I learned to cut mangoes the way she liked. I massaged her ankles. I was trying. Then Brianna, 30, the best friend who calls herself Auntie Brie in captions, DM'd me at 12:41 a.m. I was awake because the baby registry site kept timing out and I wanted to fix it before Maddie woke up. The DM preview just said, "Ethan, I can't hold this anymore." Inside, a single photo and 2 sentences. The photo was blurry, a bar bathroom mirror, Maddie in that black wrap dress I love, hair messy, mouth parted like she'd been laughing too hard. A man's hand is on her waist, familiar as a habit. The sentences, she's seeing Chase. The baby might be his. I reread it until the words sanded my throat. Chase is the guy from her CrossFit box who posts reels of himself flipping tires and saying, "Let's get this bread," without irony. I blocked him months ago because his content gave me secondhand embarrassment. Now his hand was on my wife. I didn't confront her right away. I stood in our dark kitchen and listened to the fridge hum. I opened a cabinet and closed it, opened it and closed it like an idiot trying to find a different timeline behind the spice rack. My mind kept replaying a dozen near misses. The Friday she came home and borrowed perfume, the Sunday she napped for 3 hours with her phone on airplane mode, the night I walked in and she flinched before she smiled, like she had to remember who I was. I texted Bree, "Is this a joke?" She replied instantly, "I'm sorry." She's out of control. She told me he's passionate, and you're stable. She said she doesn't know who the father is. I typed "call me," but she wouldn't, said her fiancé was home and he doesn't want drama. Then another ping, "Please don't say it was me." I crept into our bedroom. Maddie slept diagonally, one hand on her belly, the picture of innocence. A curl of hair stuck to her lip gloss. I had this insane, grief-hungry impulse to kiss her and pretend none of it was real. Instead, I stared at the chalkboard quote across the room, "Love is a verb." My stomach turned. I realized verbs can be past tense. I didn't sleep. At 5:12 a.m., the house felt like a paused movie. I made coffee I didn't drink and scrolled our joint bank account. 2 charges I didn't recognize, a boutique hotel downtown, the Briar, and a flower delivery to an address 2 neighborhoods over. We don't do surprise flowers for strangers. I took screenshots, my thumb shaking like I was balancing a glass. Maddie patted in, hair in that loose bun she knows drives me crazy, wearing my t-shirt like a souvenir. She slid behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist, cheek on my back. "You're up early, Daddy," she murmured. She's been calling me that since the pregnancy test turned positive, and the word hit like a joke with a mean punchline. Her lip brushed my shoulder. She smelled like citrus shampoo and something faintly peppery that wasn't ours. A tiny, almost healed bruise shadowed her collarbone under the t-shirt's wide neck, shaped like a crooked comma. "Rough night?" she asked, fingers skimming my ribs. It used to make me tilt into her. This time I felt my body go still, like prey pretending to be a bush. "Registry site," I said, voice flat. "And work." She poured herself oat milk like nothing was detonating inside me. Phone face down. I put a blueberry on the counter between us to keep my hands busy. "I'm meeting Bree for brunch later," she said, casual, eyes not meeting mine. Girl stuff. My phone pinged, Bree again. A voice note I didn't open and a screenshot of a text thread with Maddie. The message preview showed Maddie's bubble. "Can't stop thinking about last night. Your hands." For a second I didn't process the name at the top. Chase. The contact photo was him, sweaty and grinning with chalked hands. Bree had forwarded it. The timestamp matched the hotel charge. I went cold. I told myself, collect. Breathe. Don't fling the grenade yet. In the laundry, A black wrap dress lay tangled in the hamper. I lifted it and the faintest ghost of cologne rose, spicy sweet, not mine. In the pocket, a room key card from the Briar, slipped into one of those cardboard sleeves, and a receipt folded so small it felt like a secret. 2 drinks, 1 mocktail, 1 old-fashioned, 1 late-night bites, charge at 12:43 a.m. A note scrawled next to a smiley, see you soon, C. Lightheaded, I checked her phone while she showered. Face ID didn't work, passcode had changed. But the lock screen betrayed the shape of a life I wasn't in. Do not disturb till 7 a.m. and a calendar block for prenatal yoga, with C. My stomach plummeted. Prenatal yoga with Chase? I pictured her in soft leggings, breathy laugh, someone else's hand on the small of her back, guiding, claiming. It wasn't explicit, but my brain filled in the curve of her neck, the way she bites her lip when she's excited, the whisper she saves for dark rooms. I closed the phone and the shower turned off. My heart counted down. I waited until Saturday because I'm stupid like that. I wanted one more normal morning before I set fire to the house. She came back from prenatal yoga, glowing, hair damp, cheeks pink like she'd been kissed by weather. I had the room key card on the counter with the Briar logo face up and the bank statements printed like homework. She froze for a nanosecond. Then the performance started. What is this? I asked. She didn't blink. A prank? Breeze weird. Then sharper. Why are you snooping? That's abusive, Ethan. Classic reverse. I said Chase's name and the air pressure changed. Her jaw worked. He's a friend, she said. He's helping me feel seen. The last word landed like a spit. I slid Bree's DM across the counter. Maddie's eyes widened, then she went full offense. Bree is obsessed with you, you know that, right? She's trying to ruin my life. She's always wanted you to, save her. She actually laughed. Then I showed the receipt with see you soon, C. The laugh cracked. First tear. Then 10. She came around the island and got close, palms on my chest, eyes glossy. Baby, listen. I was lonely. You're always stabilizing everything and I'm drowning in hormones. Chase is dumb hot and says the right dumb things. But it's nothing. It's noise. She sank to her knees on the kitchen tile like the floor gave out, hands clutching my shirt. Please don't leave me. Don't leave our family. Her shoulders shook. A strand of hair stuck to her mouth. I wanted to pick it away. I didn't. Whose baby is it? I asked and my voice sounded used up. She went statue still, then whispered, yours. It's yours. Too fast. I asked for a paternity test. She recoiled like I'd slapped her. How dare you, she hissed, snot glittering on her lip. You're punishing me for being honest. She had not been honest. You're abusing a pregnant woman. I had asked for science. The spin made me dizzy. Then another turn, anger gave way to theater. She crawled forward and hugged my legs. Okay. I messed up. It got physical a few times. I was scared and horny and stupid, but it's over. I said, when? She said, before we conceived. I said, the Briar was last week. She blinked, recalibrated. I meant we ended it last night. She pressed her forehead to my thigh like prayer. I'll block him. I'll delete everything. We can go to counseling. Please, Ethan. I wanted to believe that like I wanted sleep. But a new notification lit her face from the phone on the counter. A preview banner with a heart and a lock. My stomach dropped. Maddie snatched the phone, flipped it face down. Spam. The lie sounded exhausted. Flip it, I said. No. She stood up fast, rage again, wiping tears with the heel of her hand. You think you're so perfect, she snapped. You think cutting mangoes buys you sainthood? You're boring, Ethan. You make spreadsheets about our feelings. The words were meant to gut me and they did. But under that, another truth hummed. I couldn't spreadsheet my way out of this. I said, paternity test. Marriage counseling. Full phone access. Pick 3, trying to give myself a lifeline I could hold with both hands. She shook her head, arms crossed. You're not my dad. Then smaller, I'll do too. I waited. Counseling and, fine. The test. She tucked the phone behind her like she could hide the past in her waistband. But my phone is my privacy. Your privacy is pregnant, I said, and that was the moment something between us snapped like a branch in winter. For a week I tried to live with it. I told myself people make mistakes and babies need homes. I booked a couples therapist named Dr. K, whose office had succulents and a sand tray like we were 6. Maddie went full penitent for 48 hours, made my favorite pasta, wore my hoodie, cried into my collarbone like she could salt cure the past. I slept on the edge of the mattress like I could keep from catching whatever this was. In session, Dr. K asked what safety would look like for me. Honesty, I said. Access. Maddie squeezed my hand and said, I can do hard things. Then on the drive home, she set her phone in the cup holder face up as a grand gesture. 5 minutes later, a message from yoga group popped up, a single peach emoji and miss you. She flipped the phone over so fast the charger cord snapped out. Spam, she muttered. That word again, like Windex she could spray on anything until it looked clean. I tried to be a husband anyway. I built the bassinet. I sat through a hospital tour where a nurse showed us the room where your beautiful moment happens, and I swear I could hear a laugh track. At night my brain played an awful slideshow, her dress hiked, someone else's breath at her ear, her whispering don't stop to the wrong name. Nothing graphic, just hot shadows and the outline of betrayal. I kept thinking, if this is my kid, he deserves a father who fought for him. If he's not, I deserve a life that isn't a parody. My parents came over with a lasagna the size of a suitcase. Mom clocked the tear salt on my face and did that mom thing where she pretends not to know so you can tell her. Dad fixed my leaky sink for the 3rd time this year and said, son, there's tough and then there's self-harm. Maddie did her charming Midwestern daughter-in-law routine, thanked them, then disappeared to nap. Later I found her in the garage, phone to her ear, voice syrupy soft, her not for Ethan tone. When she saw me, she made a show of rubbing her eyes. Guided meditation, she said. My head actually buzzed. Her parents were weirder. Linda, her mom, texted me a Pinterest board called Modern Blended Families, with pictures of smiling exes at soccer games. Her father, Rick, a retired cop with a beer gut and a moralizing streak, cornered me on FaceTime, real men don't swab their babies. Then he launched into a story about youthful mistakes that felt too practiced. Skeletons in that closet wore name tags. I kept a log because reality felt slippery. Dates, phrases, tiny lies. Tuesday, prenatal yoga canceled, but her leggings are in the dryer, damp. Thursday, she says she blocked Chase. That night a new contact, Casey, hearts her Instagram story about pickles. Saturday, hotel receipt from the Briar arrives in our joint email thanks to some loyalty program she forgot to turn off. She swears it's an automated error. Every excuse was a pebble in my shoe. Every morning I thought maybe today it'll feel normal. Every night I bled hope into the pillow and woke up lighter in the worst way. The next morning I booked a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. The price made me swallow hard, but I told myself it was tuition for re-entering reality. I didn't tell Maddie. I told her OB's office we'd be adding my name to the lab requisition for insurance. Meanwhile I opened a new bank account, changed my email, set up a P.O. box. It felt like learning to breathe through a paper bag. I also DM'd someone I never thought I'd talk to, Harper, the girl who sometimes appears in Chase's tagged photos, petite sleeve tattoo, the kind of smile that makes strangers assume she's fine. I wrote, hi. This is awkward. Are you with Chase? She replied without punctuation, on and off why? I said I thought our timelines overlapped. She sent back a photo before I could decide if I should. Her bathroom mirror, a pregnancy test on the counter, faint pink lines. 8 weeks, she typed. My ribs closed like a fist. At home I played house. Maddie leaned against the island and said we should do a baby moon, to Mendocino, eyes shining like sea glass. I pictured her in a borrowed sweater on a cliff, smiling for a photo I would never post. After we meet the doctor, I said. She squinted. What doctor? I told her about counseling follow-ups, left out the lab. She smiled too widely and kissed my jaw, slow and practiced, her palms warm at my neck, breath honey-sweet and familiar in a way that made my body try to forget the facts. I pulled back like a man on the edge of a pool that's deeper than it looks. Then Bree called, voice hoarse. She told Chase you're being controlling, and that you might undad the baby. He's pissed. Pause. Also, I need to tell you something. My heart tripped. Maddie wasn't just with Chase. The floor slid a few inches. There was a night after her bachelorette. A bartender. Maybe 2. I thought it was a bit. I thought it would pass. She made a sound like she'd swallowed glass. I'm sorry. I went very quiet inside. It was like standing in a flooded room, counting how many steps left until the stairs. Thanks? I said because I couldn't find better words. Petty revenge clawed at me. I drafted a message to the CrossFit owner, your coach is sleeping with married members. I typed, deleted, typed. I settled for forwarding the Briar receipt to Harper with a gentle, I'm sorry you're in this too. She sent back a voice note, small and fierce. He told me you were basically separated. Men like him believe their own PR. In the background I heard a dog bark and someone knock. Her life, mid-tumble. That night Maddie swung between saint and storm. She made cocoa, tucked her feet under my thigh, pressed her nose to my neck like muscle memory, and then, catching me checking a calendar alert, she snapped, "Are you tracking me?" When I didn't engage, she escalated. "Do you even want this baby?" She had weaponized softness. Now she weaponized doubt. I said quietly, "I want the truth." She laughed, high and brittle. "Truth is subjective." Then she crumpled, tears, snot, full body sobbing. She slid off the couch to the rug, clutching my hands, mascara making bruised half-moons under her eyes. "Please, Ethan. I'll do anything. I'll delete everyone. I'll get a new number. Just don't make me a villain." "Then stop acting like one," I said, and hated myself for how tired it sounded. At 2 a.m., my phone lit with an unknown number. A text, "Meet me. Need to talk. See it." I stared at the letters until they crawled. I didn't reply. I lay there listening to the quiet roar of our house, wondering what else was hiding in it. I finally answered Chase at noon from the parking lot of the Briar, because poetic symmetry is stupid but irresistible. He showed up in a sleeveless hoodie, jaw clenched, that gym hero swagger turned down to concerned citizen. First thing he said, "Bro, you're making Maddie spiral." "Bro." I kept my voice steady. "We're married. She's pregnant. I'm allowed to spiral." He shifted, eyes tracking a delivery truck like he wanted to flip it for Instagram. Then he dropped his bomb, "Harper's telling people she's pregnant. It's not mine." His mouth moved too fast, his eyes flinched too slow. I said, "She's 8 weeks. He blinked. "Coincidence." "Sure, man. Planets align sometimes, usually over the Briar." He tried to sell me the PR version. He and Maddie are soul spotters. I'm a good guy but too logistical. This is bigger than labels. I said, "Say affair." He couldn't. That told me everything. Then he offered solutions. He'd step back if the baby was mine. If it wasn't, we could co-dad. The phrase made my mouth taste like pennies. "You mean I pay and you visit on shoulder day?" He bristled. "I love that kid." I said, "Name one prenatal appointment you attended." Silent. Wind kicked a takeout bag down the alley like a tiny ghost. Almost on cue, Maddie texted me a selfie from our living room floor, red-eyed, tear tracks, hand on belly. "Come home. Please." I showed it to Chase. His face softened, grossly tender. "She panics," he said like a man narrating a dog he can't train. He added, "Her mom says you're cruel." That stopped me. "Linda?" He nodded. "Linda says you're making Maddie sicker with your tests, and that real men stand by their women." So they were talking. Of course they were. A side chat where I'm the villain of the week. At home, Maddie went full theater again. She met me at the door, slid to her knees so fast her phone skittered under the console table. I'm sorry," she chanted, grabbing my wrists. I blocked him. "He ambushed you, didn't he?" "He's obsessed." She swallowed a sob and looked up at me with those huge wet eyes I used to think meant open-heartedness. "I'm yours. This baby's yours." I got scared. Behind her, the console table light glowed on the phone screen. WhatsApp, mom group nail polish, and a preview from Linda. "Delete this after reading." My heart did that sick swoop. I helped Maddie up, sat her, palmed the phone like I was just clearing the clutter. Bathroom. Lock. I opened the chat. Messages from Linda, timestamp 3 a.m. "Don't let him test. Say it will stress the baby. Once baby's here, men bond and forget. Then, if he insists, tell him you'll do it but drag your feet." And then the kicker, "Your Aunt Pauline did this with Rick. Worked." I scrolled up. A photo I didn't want but couldn't unsee. Maddie's bachelorette party, a stranger's lap, Maddie's head thrown back, a neon sign that read "Good girls, bad choices." Linda had heart-reacted it. My chest went cold and hot at once. I walked out with the calm of a man underwater. "Your mom is coaching you," I said. Maddie's face crumpled, then sharpened. "You invaded my privacy." I laughed ugly. "Your privacy is a group project." She lunged for the phone, missed, switched tactics. Tears again. She's old school. She just wants us to stay a family. She slid off the couch to the rug, forehead to my shin. "Please, Ethan. I'll do the test tomorrow. I'll go no contact with everyone. I'll get off social. Whatever you want." I asked, "Truth?" She nodded so hard her bun loosened. "Truth." "Okay," I said. "Then we're starting with my truth." I told her I'd met Chase. I told her Harper might be pregnant. Maddie's eyes went mean bright. "Harper lies for sport," she hissed. You're believing a girl with a mascot tattoo? What? She breathed fast through her mouth like panic school. Then she flipped again to pleading, I only wanted to feel beautiful. You started treating me like a project plan. The insult landed because it was a little true. She saw it hit and pushed, you're not exciting. He is. She folded onto herself, sobbing. But you're safe. Please be safe. My phone buzzed again, Bree, you need to know something about Rick. I stepped onto the porch to call. Bree whispered like she'd seen a ghost. Rick paid off a woman when Maddie was a kid. There might be another daughter. That's why Linda is, like this. She thinks denial is loyalty. The past clicked together like magnets. In our kitchen, I could hear Maddie crying harder, practicing for the judge I hadn't even hired yet. Monday I became a spreadsheet with shoes. I called an attorney, opened that P.O. box, froze the credit, and moved half our savings into an account with my name only. I felt like a thief in my own life, but every click slowed my pulse. Dr. K's office faxed the lab forms. The nurse asked, will Mom be joining? In a voice that assumed the world was tidy. She'll be there, I said and hung up fast because I didn't trust my mouth. Maddie showed up to the lab in a cream sweater and war paint mascara, Linda flanking her like a bodyguard. At check-in Maddie turned it on, quivering smile, hand on belly. We're so excited to confirm what we already know, she chirped to the phlebotomist. Then she hissed at me through her teeth, you're humiliating me, while Linda whispered, stress hurts the baby with church lady menace. I said nothing. I signed where they pointed. The tech swabbed my cheek. Maddie squeezed my fingers like a tourniquet, then tried to swap the labeled tubes when the tech turned. I caught her wrist. Don't, I said gentle and iron. Her eyes flashed. Then she cried in a way that made the receptionist pass her tissues and glare at me like I'd kicked a puppy. On the way out, Linda blocked the door. You think truth will save you? Truth breaks families. She said it like a blessing and a curse. I stepped around her. Outside, the weather had that thin, unforgiving brightness. Maddie followed, mascara running, voice wobbling. I made a mistake, okay? A few mistakes. But I love you. Then, sharply, delete Harper's number. She's a homewrecker. I almost laughed. The irony would have sunk a ship. I picked my revenge with tweezers. No slash tires, no viral exposés. I emailed the CrossFit owner, professional boundaries issue affecting member safety. Happy to discuss privately. He called within an hour. I forwarded nothing, just asked if he was aware of fraternization. He wasn't. He thanked me in that tight way men do when they're already picturing HR. By evening, Chase posted a Notes app screenshot about taking a mental health break. Comments off. Harper texted me a single champagne emoji. He's suspended, she wrote later. Also, doctor says my dates match. We'll see. I felt a strange, undeserved relief, justice adjacent. Then came the ultrasound curveball. At our next OB visit, a locum doctor skimmed the chart and said, baby's measuring a week ahead, not unusual. Maddie squeezed my hand, see? But the dates ticked in my head like a metronome. A week ahead landed us squarely on a Briar night she'd sworn was just talking. In the parking lot I said that. Maddie snapped, bodies are weird, and tossed me the car keys like I was her valet. Bree sent me a text while I sat in the driveway staring at the lemon tree. A photo of an old newspaper clipping, Rick in uniform, officer commended after misconduct inquiry concludes. The article didn't say much. The silence around it did. Skeletons had neighbors. That night the begging hit a new gear. Maddie cooked, cried, blamed, repeated. She knelt on the rug so long her knees pinked, promised no contact, promised to change her number, promised to let me track her location like a parolee. Then her phone lit on the coffee table, yoga group nail polish, and a preview from an unsaved number, tell him the lab delayed. She lunged for the phone. I was faster. My voice surprised me with how quiet it was. I'm not your audience anymore. She stared at me, furious and beautiful and cornered. You'll never find someone who loves you like I do, she said. It wasn't a threat, it was prophecy spoken from a burning room. I stood and felt the air shift, the house smaller, the door larger. Somewhere inside, something gave way, not like a snap, but like a knot finally admitting it was always two ropes. Network connection lost. Attempting to reconnect. The email hit at 9:17 a.m. Subject line clinical, body colder than space. Probability of paternity, 0%. I read it twice, then once out loud like a man translating bad weather. My first feeling wasn't rage, it was clarity sharp as winter air. Then the hurt rushed in like traffic. I printed the PDF and taped it to the chalkboard where love is a verb used to live. When Maddie came home from yoga, she saw it and froze. Her lips parted, the performance engine sputtered, then revved. Labs make mistakes, she said. I pointed to the chain of custody. Then we redo it, she said. Stress affects DNA. She drooped, then detonated, tears, snot, mascara moons. She slid to her knees so fast it looked rehearsed, hands clutching mine. Please, Ethan. I messed up, but we're a family. Don't make our baby fatherless. The words sounded me raw. He already has a father, I said. Go ask him to step up. Right on cue the doorbell rang. Just sleeveless hoodie, apology face. Behind him, Linda with a casserole, Rick in a leather jacket like it made him younger, Bree looking like she wanted to be invisible. It turned into a living room tribunal before I could breathe. Linda beelined to the chalkboard and started peeling the tape like the paper could be unmade. This is abuse, she hissed. Real men don't need receipts. Rick planted himself between me and the door, cop stance muscle memory flickering. Be reasonable, he said, which in Rick speak means obey the fiction. Chase lifted his palms. We can figure this out, bro. Oh, contribute. Contribute. Like a GoFundMe perk. My parents arrived mid-chaos because I'd texted, please come, and my mom hugged me like I was 12 and bleeding. Dad clocked the room in one sweep and said, everyone sit. People did somehow. I handed him the result. He nodded once, slow. Okay, he said. Then the next right thing is separation. Maddie went feral pleading. She crawled to me, forehead on my knee, voice wrecked. I will cut them all off. I'll move. I'll change names. She swallowed a sob. I'll be brand new. Chase rattled, muttered, Maddie, and she rounded on him, voice sawtooth sharp, don't you dare leave me now. Linda started crying into her casserole. Rick cleared his throat like he was revving up to command the world back into place. Then Bree, trembling, said to him, tell them about Pauline. The room went still. Rick's face did a complicated thing. My dad said, who's Pauline? Linda whispered, his other daughter. A silence so quiet it rang. Something unclenched in me. It wasn't triumph. It was the realization that their house had always been on fire and I'd been trying to live in the smoke. I took a breath and read from my notebook, voice steadier than my hands. Paternity, no. Boundary, moving out today. Legal, filing tomorrow. Contact, written only. Maddie grabbed at my belt like she could anchor me. Ethan, please. We can adopt this baby together. You're his real dad in your heart. My mom, who never swears, said gently, honey, you can't adopt a lie. I packed while they argued. A suitcase, the tools my dad left me, the lemon tree I'd kept alive. On my way out, Maddie followed me to the porch, hair coming loose, mascara a map of rivers. You won't find better, she said, a curse and a prayer. I lifted the suitcase, felt its honest weight, and stepped into air that finally belonged to me. I moved into a month-to-month over a deli that smells like onions at 6 a.m. and hope by noon. The first night I unpacked 3 things. The lemon tree, my dad's toolbox, and a pair of running shoes I hadn't touched since college. I set a rule. No checking Maddie's socials, no rereading old texts after 10 p.m., no hero fantasies. I failed twice, then less. Lawful revenge did its quiet work. CrossFit posted a bland community standards note. Chase's classes vanished from the schedule. Harper sent me a blurry ultrasound with a tiny flicker. Heartbeat, she typed. He's out for now. I felt grief for a kid I'd never meet and relief for the one I almost raised. Then I got a DM from a stranger named Pauline. Yes, that Pauline. She said, Rick is my father. I'm sorry you were asked to lie like we were. The world made more sense in a worse way. Maddie texted daily. Apologies, bargains, threats braided together. Voice notes where she sobbed, then scolded me for abandoning her, then asked if I could please Venmo for a new crib because it hurts to look at the old one. Linda followed with scriptures and Pinterest pins about forgiveness. Rick offered to talk man-to-man. I blocked him. Bree wrote a real apology that didn't ask for anything. I told her I hoped she found a better best friend than the one she tried to be. I poured the noise into motion. I ran at dawn until my chest burned clean. I joined a beginner's woodworking class and made a wobbly cutting board that looked like a state no one's ever visited. I took a long weekend to Mendocino, the baby moon I'd almost faked, and hiked the headlands in a fog that felt like a reset button. At sunset I sat on a bluff with a thermos of grocery store soup and said out loud, I was a good husband. The wind didn't argue. On day 21 the lawyer filed. On day 22 I bought a second-hand camera because Dr. K said, curiosity is medicine. and I believed her. On day 23, I brought the lemon tree out onto the fire escape and a neighbor in a beanie leaned over and said, "Nice citrus," like a blessing. We talked about nothing for 10 minutes, the best 10 minutes I'd had in weeks. The last twist came in a manila envelope, hospital mail addressed to both of us, automatically forwarded. On the top sheet a name stared up, paternal contact, acknowledged Chase W. So she'd finally told them. I waited for the wave of anger. What arrived was quiet. I put the paper under the lemon pot to catch stray water and went for a run. The deli guy shouted, "You're getting faster." He meant nothing by it. I heard everything. The divorce hearing was 6 minutes long and felt like an eclipse. The judge said words like dissolved and relieved of obligation, and I stood there with my hands folded like a kid in a school photo. Outside the courthouse, my dad clapped my shoulder once, the exact pressure you use to close a toolbox. Mom tucked a granola bar in my hoodie like grief was a hike. I went home to the deli smell and the lemon tree and slept 12 hours without dreams. 2 weeks later, Maddie texted, "He's here." A picture followed, tiny knit cap, impossible fingers. I stared at the baby until the edges of the screen blurred. My thumb hovered over the heart reaction like a moth. In the end I typed, "I wish him a safe, loved life," and put my phone face down. Chase posted a gym selfie holding the kid like a kettlebell with the caption, "New PR, Dad mode." The comments were on. Her family pivoted like they'd invented it. Linda sent a group text about fresh starts, CSNG me by accident, then another that read, "Please ignore, CSNG me again." Rick DM'd me a Bible verse that boiled down to stop telling the truth. Bree sent me a photo of a lake and wrote, "I'm in therapy." I wrote back, "Me too." Pauline mailed me a postcard from a diner 3 states away with a smiley face that somehow felt like solidarity. I kept building. The woodworking class stopped being a place to hide and started being where I learned how to listen with my hands. I made a coffee table that didn't wobble and sold it on Marketplace to a couple who called each other babe without irony. I ran a 10K in a shirt that said DNS DNF DFL DNF DNQ, because moving forward is math too. The camera became a habit. I shot sunrises from the fire escape and strangers' dogs and once, my own face in a window where I almost recognized the man looking back. I took the long trip I'd promised myself, rented a dusty hatchback and drove the Pacific coast, north until the road narrowed and the radio turned to ocean. In a motel with seashell lamps, I wrote the post you're reading because I wanted a breadcrumb trail for the next person who wakes up with the fridge humming and the floor tilting. What I learned condensed. Quiet revenge, boundaries, documents, facts, beats loud revenge every time. If someone needs you blind to love you, they don't love you, they love the dark. Grief will make you audition for roles, savior, doormat, detective. Pick witness. Write it down. Ask for help. From a lawyer, a therapist, your mom, the deli guy, a neighbor with a beanie who says, "Nice citrus." Make one small beautiful thing, even if it's a crooked cutting board. Beauty is an argument you'll win slowly. I was a good husband. She was a bad partner. Both can be true without making me unlovable. If you're reading this with your phone face down and your stomach in your throat, here's your sign. Choose the next right thing. Step into air that belongs to you. The road is narrow at first. Then I swear it opens. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.